161st Street, Yankee Stadium.
Swung on, hit in the air, to deep center, gets back, away back, she is gone!
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Boys of 161st Street, episode 125. Getting up to episode 161, David.
That's gonna be
That's the goal.
Gonna be a big day.
Got to throw a party that day. Today, as always, you're joined by Luke and Damon. Murph and Chandler decided to just go fuck off for where I don't know where they are. So we got my guy Greg in here. Greg making his debut on the pod in the dark, but he's making it happen. So how are you, Greg?
What's going on? Yeah, the lights behind me are pretty shit, but I'm doing good.
It's all right. You'll make it happen. Damon, how you doing?
Fucking fantastic, man.
Huh?
Fantastic.
How about you get off your phone and try to do a podcast?
I'm trying to do some housekeeping and put the swipe up on Instagram.
So Corey Kluber
we're
threw a
gonna
fucking
watch.
no-hitter yesterday, huh? That was pretty fucking exciting. You know what's funny? On that no-hitter, I was looking at the other no-hitters that were thrown this year. Obviously, there's been 6 so far. One more and it would tie the record for the most no-hitters thrown in a season. And it's May 20th, so, there's that. We're going to get into a little bit of debate on that, whether that's a problem or not. Huh?
What's the number?
What's what? I
what's-
said 6.
Oh, what? Okay.
But technically 7 if we're counting Bumgarner.
We're not counting Bumgarner. If Bumgarner was in pinstripes, I would count it. I said that before, but he's not, and it doesn't count. But 6 no-hitters, one more ties the record in May. I think we're there by tomorrow.
I mean, at this rate, I feel like there's been one every other week.
You know what's funny? The teams that got no-hit, it's the same 3 teams. Each team got no-hit twice. It's the Rangers got no-hit by us, and the Padres, Musgrove threw against them. Cleveland got no-hit twice already this season by Rodon and Wade Miley, and Seattle got no-hit twice by Means and Spencer Turnbull. Tough sledding for those teams. You get no-hit once, it's just kind of embarrassing. I mean, obviously, it makes sense. I mean, all of these teams you would expect to get... Actually, maybe not Cleveland as much. They haven't been super horrible this year, whereas, Texas is kind of an obvious team to get no-hit. All of them are kind of home run or bust for the most part, like Joey Gallo. When Kluber was coming down to it, and Joey Gallo came up, then Chris Davis came up, I was feeling great. Those are great players, but, if there ever was a person you want up there to not get it, the odds of them getting a hit, not a home run, because whatever... And those kind of players I feel like would be pressing more because, hey, I'm about to get no hit. I'm going to try and fucking poke one out. Because they don't have that kind of instinct to just, let me just slap one. They don't do that. So I don't think they were built for the moment of breaking up a no-hitter. So I was feeling good. Obviously, I thought every little thing was going to go wrong at the end. That catch that Wade made, I thought that was for sure down. The one before that.
Yeah. I thought there was a lot of hits that inning. Off the bat, I thought those both were hits.
Yeah, they weren't all easy. A few of them were... There was a couple strikeouts, but I just feel like that Gio play at third base was...
And then the DJ
my nuts were in my
too.
stomach on that. DJ too.
The short hop.
And to win it, who other than the guy who's leading leading the Yankees in defensive WAR, who would have thought Mr. Kluber Torres? Did you know that, Greg?
He's leading the Yankees in defensive WAR?
He's currently our best defender. Which makes...
shocking.
I don't know how WAR is calculated. I don't really care. I'm just going to run with those numbers blindly and whatever. But, that's just one of those things, too. He gets the ball. I had a feeling that he was going to botch that. And it was very likely that he could have botched that.
But, on the other hand, no-hitter still would have been alive. I had the same thought going through my head as that happened. I saw it go to him, and I saw him. I don't know if you noticed, he held the ball in his hand for a while. He didn't throw it right away. And I was like, all right, at least if he throws it away, still no-hitter, he still can get one more out, and we can preserve this thing. But I had the same thought cross through my head.
I mean, just imagine how he feels. I had my nuts in my stomach, and I wasn't even playing the game, nor was I the one fielding the ball in the last play. And, yeah, it wouldn't have been given up on that play because it would have been an error. But even so, the one we were talking about, I actually had that same conversation with Damon, and it was the one that was hit to Gio. And I think that would have been a hit because it hit so hard. So because it's a fine line between, was it, count as a hit? What counts as a hit because it's a tough play, a tough one to field? Because that one was a rocket. It was a short hopper to Gio. I think that would have been a hit, which more the more props to Gio for making that play because that saves the no hitter. I think that is the most. Was there a play? There's always one play. Was that the play?
The Gio play?
You always think about that one play being like a dive or something, but that one was just as hard. That I played the hot corner before. It ain't easy. So that ball coming at you short hop, and then you got to make the long throw. I knew you got time because it came at you so fast, but I feel like I think that was the most impressive one.
Yeah, I'd say that was most impressive, but the one that caught me off, that was like off the bat for sure was going to be a hit was the one with Tyler Wade because I thought that one was going to be a double down the line, and he didn't like dive or anything, but I still thought that was like a more of a relief when he caught the ball than when Gio did it because I think that the Gio hit just happened so quickly.
And Luke, you're right in saying that because that play is a lot harder than you think, and if Andujar's there, that's a hit, no doubt about it.
It's funny you bring that up too because I was talking to Damon, I didn't know if I saw it, but I think Andujar was in left field during that. I don't know if they made a defensive replacement.
He had to have been.
Yeah, because I don't think we have a defensive replacement. Guardy, I think, was in center.
Guardy was in center.
Ryan Lamar was MIA. I think he was hurt. I don't know what was happening with him.
He's hurt.
And I don't know, is he even a good defender? Who knows? Not gonna break down Ryan Lamar because I don't know anything about the guy. I'm not gonna act like I do. But I was thinking to myself, if there ever was a time to have defensive replacements, it would be right then and there. I didn't think we had any. So I'm almost positive in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Miggy was out there.
No, he definitely.
And if you're trying to break up a no, hit that ball to left field. See if Miggy can go after it.
This isn't about Miggy, but did you hear what Kluber said on the play to Wade when he was like,
like he doesn't play out there.
He was like when that ball was hit, I was definitely scared because it was going right at Tyler Wade and he doesn't play right field.
It was a nice way of saying Wade was probably gonna fuck that up.
Yeah.
That looked clean.
We need to give Wade some credit.
No, I'm gonna give Wade some credit.
He made a great play in right field, and without him, it's a 0-0 game.
That's true. He did have the triple, and Tyler Wade has been providing a lot of the offense recently for the Yankees. Not a lot, but a little, and more than you expected out of him. But, the Yankees haven't been producing a lot of runs recently against teams not named the Orioles, and I guess we might get into that a little bit in Hot or Not when we get to that segment. But, yeah, overall, today's game, also good game, also good pitching performance by Domingo, but, the talk of this episode is...
Score some fucking runs.
It scores some fucking runs, but, just... Good on Corey Kluber. You want to get into Hot or Not?
Go for it.
So you want to do the Hots, Greg? You want to do the honors?
Yeah,
you're our guest. We'll let you do the Hots. All right. Corey Kluber. How could he not make this list? Corey Kluber throws a no-hitter. Kyle Yashioka caught him, so I guess he could get a little bit of props also to that. But this Hot or Not in particular is about Corey Kluber. He is just good. He's just very good. So... I don't foresee you selling this. I think you'd buy. I'm going to answer for you, but I'll let you go for it.
Yeah, I'm definitely buying on Corey Kluber. His first couple starts were a little bit shaky.
Hey, this is not the time for that. We'll get into it. Quick answers.
We're lightning
I know
round.
You're a rookie. You haven't been here long,
right.
But, lightning round. Next.
I'm buying.
Domingo Germán, 19.1 innings pitched in 3 starts, 3 runs, 3 walks, 1.41 ERA. Buying, okay. Yankee starters last 30 days, lowest FIP in the MLB at 3.07, 12-5, most innings pitched at 161. Shout out us. Highest WAR at 4.2.
This is just the starting staff?
Yeah.
Buying.
So you wanted to get into it. I had to pump the brakes on that a little bit. I know you're new, but that's not the time to get into the nitty-gritty. Now that time is now. So you bought all of that. You got deep pockets.
So... my thinking, I can't not buy the third one if I'm buying the first 2. I can't buy 2 of the rotation pieces, with Cole being the third as an obvious buy, and go off it. So I thought that was a must buy, but Kluber has really done very well since his start. He was definitely a little bit shaky, and I think it was definitely knocking the rust off. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in his next start after this. I don't know. Was this his highest pitch count so far this year?
It was. Yeah, it was his highest pitch count going. Yeah, but it was his highest pitch count going into the 8th inning. So he went even more than his highest. I think he was because like his highest was in the 8th. I think I got to double check that.
I think it was that day, that Sunday afternoon that where were you on that Sunday afternoon? I was on my fire escape watching the game because I'm innovative as fuck and I set up a little TV on the outside. But, I think that was definitely his next best. I mean, just looking back at the game logs, he's been having masterful performances, and it's not any secret that he's doing this well. I mean, his season stats now, he's 4-2 with a 2.86 ERA, 1.17 WHIP, and 50 strikeouts. Like, he's having himself a fucking season, and this is the point in the season where you expected him to, have that rust like you were talking about, and he just kind of hasn't. And we talked about this before, too, how it's kind of a little bit unfair to compare Jameson Taillon to what Kluber's been doing, because those two are the ones that, you're going to probably compare the most to, because they're both coming off, they haven't pitched in 2 years, they were both free agent signings or trades, whatever, they're both off-season ads, and I think it's a little bit unfair to compare Taillon to what Kluber's doing, because nobody expected this out of either of them, but if they're both healthy, which they both are, knock on wood, you expected this out of Kluber, and you expected we don't really know much about Taillon. We knew a lot about Kluber's pedigree and what he can do if healthy. That was never a question. So am I shocked that he's doing this? Absolutely not. I think he's going to get better as time goes on if he stays healthy, which, he looks fucking good, dude. I was very excited that we got him, and I know you were talking a little bit about this, not on the air, Greg. You were saying like we should have brought back Tanaka, and yes, I miss Tanaka, but I do think it was a one or the other situation, and if it was one or the other, who are you taking?
I mean, I can't not say I'm going to take... I have to take Kluber after the no-hitter.
I don't even think you should have hesitated on that. Just let it fire from the hip.
I love Tanaka. I'm one of Tanaka's biggest fans. He was like our old reliable. Besides CeCe, who was our stopper, he was always the guy in the playoffs that I wanted to have the ball in his hand. Especially
up until the
past
last
couple
one.
Of years. Yeah, up until last year.
But we'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one because it was the rainy start-stop game, and that was just a weird one. But
yeah, that game should have never even been started. But
I mean, I wouldn't say this. I wouldn't say this is expected by any means.
I was saying it's expected to me. No, honestly, I expect him to be able. Are you shocked that he's pitching well? This is the type of pitcher
I'm very.
No. I mean, not at the. I didn't expect him to throw a no-hitter.
Obviously, I'm not saying that. I'm saying just in general. I'm saying his general performance this year so far. I'm shocked. I mean,
I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if you were comparing the two, I expected this type of pedigree out of a guy that's won 2 Cy Youngs before versus both
correct.
having
I expected more
both
out
having
of him.
rust,
yes,
and both ideally staying healthy. What do you expect more out of? I definitely have expectations for Kluber over Taillon.
Yeah,
Taillon,
100%.
I didn't even know anything about Taillon, to be honest, coming into this season.
Nobody did.
I barely knew the guy. I think I've seen him pitch one time, and I may be lying about that, too.
But also, like, check the tapes. When we were talking about it in the offseason, we said, let's sign a bunch of guys who are kind of healthy, and then just hopefully one of them pans out.
Yeah.
And we'll, if one of them pans out, we got number 2 guy. And then hopefully the other guys figure it out, and it seems like that's working so far.
We're not out of the woods yet.
We're not out of the woods, but it's looking like
I didn't hear you knock on wood either. Okay,
That's
thank
some
you.
wood.
But one little thing that I did want to bring up on Kluber is we're talking about how good of a pitcher he's been in the past, and just I looked into the deep dive and a little analytics. Don't want to get too nerdy on all of y'all listening, but it's just cool. It's nice to see little things like you compare back to 2015 when Kluber was fucking nasty, and he had his fastball velocity was 93.5 miles per hour. His average fastball velocity. He never was a fireballer, but I mean 93.5 is pretty damn good for a guy who can place it where the fuck ever he wants. And now his average fastball velocity is 89.3. So it's a pretty significant drop off. It is early, and I expect that to climb a little bit as he gets more, comfortable. Not everybody can throw their fastest they've thrown in ever early on in the season, like Chapman is for whatever reason. Usually, Cole's doing the same thing too. Usually, like towards August, they start really being in midseason form, i.e., the term midseason form. It's they need time to get that going a little bit, and maybe it does come up. But I mean, last year's a bad example too because he's only thrown 1 inning on the Rangers, which is super funny that they Did you see that they did bobblehead night? Corey
Yeah.
Corey Kluber bobblehead night. Who thought of that? And it's only right that you do Corey Kluber bobblehead night and then he no hits you that night too.
That's so
The
funny.
only thing I could think of is that they had them from a game last year and they never got to give them away
Because he only
didn't
threw
pitch
one
ever.
inning.
Yeah.
So they thought, all right, he's going to be here pitching tonight. Let's just give him away now.
We already have
why
them.
not, right?
We
Why
already
not?
have them. We might as well not waste them. Like he's back. Let's
They
celebrate
probably
him.
thought like nothing of it. They were just like, all right, we want to give something away. We got nothing left. Let's just give these fucking bobbleheads away and clear up some space.
You gotta
And then
you
he
gotta
goes out,
believe
throws
too.
no hair.
Like they're probably sitting in a round table talking about that, and they're thinking, okay, we're gonna give these things away. The only way this looks really bad and embarrassing is if he no hits us. There's no way that happens, right? He hasn't thrown past the 8th inning this year. He hasn't thrown past. He's thrown 1 inning in the last 1.5 years. He's barely thrown in the last 2 years. There's just no way it happens, and then it blows up in their face. I want those bobbleheads to be selling on eBay, and I'm sure there's a lot of them because that was another cool thing about that. Not to get too sidetracked, packed house.
Yeah.
So he did it in front of fans, not only fans, a full house. So that's fucking awesome for him too, and good for him, especially good for him. Kudos to the guy tipped the cap because that's his first one too. Throw that in the fucking trophy case. 2 Cy Youngs and a no hitter now.
Now, was he a Hall of Famer before the no-hitter?
Glad you brought that up because I was gonna do it if you didn't. I put that out yesterday as like a little bit of a poll. People are obviously saying yes last night. Hard to not because he just threw a no-hitter. But I don't know. I'd have to look more into the pitchers who do get in and the wars they have. So if somebody could pull that up. But, 2 Cy Youngs is pretty damn fucking good. Not many pitchers have 2 Cy Youngs. I mean, we're talking about DeGrom being an active Hall of Famer because he did it back-to-back, but he's got 2. I mean, back-to-back or not, if you got 2 in the fucking trophy case, I'm going to take that no matter what. I don't think his WAR numbers are super high because he's been in and out of – he's really had like 6 dominant years. Like he had a good stretch of years, and then he's obviously been in and out of the lineup. I do think he's borderline right now, if not – at the very least, I think I'd give him a no at this very moment because we've seen so many people not make the Hall of Fame because they haven't done it for so long. And the Hall of Fame is like the top 1% of 1% who make it. So I don't know that he's done it long enough. I think if he has a little bit of a Verlander revival, like it seems like he's hopefully, having right now, and, hopefully does that in pinstripes, I want them to extend him. Then I think we can talk about more of like a sure thing, of course. Like then I don't even think it's a question. I think it's definitely up in the air considering how limited of the dominance that it's been.
Yeah, I feel like he needs to do a little bit more to get to the Hall of Fame caliber.
I'd agree. He had 5 really good years, and normally Hall of Fame they're looking more for a 7 or 10 year stretch. And in that 5-year stretch, I mean, he won 2 Cy Youngs. He finished top 3 4 years, and the other year he finished 9th. So he has 5 top 10 finishes, which not many pitchers can say they have. But I agree, it's only 5 years. It's more on the lower end of the spectrum. But I mean, he's definitely got a chance if he can revive his career now. I don't think he's got to do much more.
I mean, if we're just talking in terms of WAR, I brought it up real quick. He has a WAR, a career WAR.
Oh, you're scrolling far down.
Yeah, he has a career WAR of 33.3.
And where like
Well, I'll put it in perspective for you.
what's Verlander at?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Verlander's at 72.
Greinke probably close.
Greinke is at 67. Kershaw's at 68.
Yeah, I think it's just a
Scherzer
flat-out
is at
no.
61. And then you got like the upper league guys like who are like the top of the top have like 160, which is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
But that's a lot of control.
I think right now it's just a tip of the cap to an unbelievable 5-year run and, whatever comes next. I think you said, Greg, I think it has to be a little bit. I think he's got hearing those numbers and knowing how much they care about WAR to get people into the Hall of Fame, I think he's got a long way to go. I think he needs to have just as dominant, if not close, for 3 more years to be in the Hall of Fame because he hasn't done it for that long,
But also, like, he hasn't really won any besides Cy Young and being an all-star. His only other like accolade is the ERA title. All these other guys have
That's
so
pretty
many.
damn good.
I know.
Forgot he had that.
I know, but I'm saying so many other guys are like up in the record books of strikeouts, and they have all these different like accolades throughout the years, and on top of also Cy Youngs and stuff. So
Hall of
I
Fame,
think
Hall of
he
Fame
needs
is
to do a
exclusive.
lot. He needs to do a lot.
He's only got 1,500 strikeouts. It's not like he's one of those career guys who have.
Yeah,
like,
Cole already
they're
got
up
that.
there.
Yeah.
Cole just got that. He's about there right now, and he's got a decent ways to go. I mean, the Hall of Fame's an exclusive club, and I think he's got a long way to go on that. One more thing I wanted to bring up about his current season this year is just the reason why he's doing so well, and I love looking at pitch mixes and seeing how people do, year to year and everything like that. This year, his pitch mix is cutter 28.6%, curveball 27%, sinker 23%, changeup 14%, and fastball 5.9%.
Wow.
So the fastball velocity dipped. I don't really remember how much he used it in the past, but I do know 5.9% is fucking low, and he's got other pitches and they work, and that's why he's so fucking dominant. And when he was pitching last night, you could just tell he was on one, and it's not even just this start, like that fine Sunday evening or afternoon that I was sitting out on the balcony. He was twirling it then too. It's just there is a difference in a guy like Kluber taking the mound and pitching with purpose like that, and a guy like, I hate to be a dick, but Tyone on the mound. It just kind of looks like he's laboring and getting by. There's a difference between getting by and, hey, this is my fucking day. You're mine, motherfucker. Like Scherzer likes to say to people, let's get it fucking going.
And Luke, I think I know the reason. I mean, I might not know the reasoning, but this is my theory behind it. And I've heard other people say it too. But he's a pitcher. Like, there's no doubt about it. There's throwers and there's pitchers in the league. Like someone like Sevy, a young guy, he especially early in his career, he was more of just a thrower. Those are the guys that can get by throwing 100 miles an hour and blowing it past people. But then you have a guy like Kluber who's, what would you say, 89 mile an hour fastball. He has to know how to pitch. Like, he's got to hit his spots. He's got to know what the batters are thinking is coming and throwing the opposite. But I think that's one of the biggest differences with him.
I'd be really curious to see what the most diverse pitcher in terms of pitch mix, like who the most diverse pitcher in terms of pitch mix.
Yu Darvish.
Is. No, but
Darvish has like 16 pitches.
I mean, let me rephrase that. Like
wild,
split evenly throughout the frequency in which they throw it. So you said like 20%, 20%, 14%. Like that's pretty.
I mean, the top three pitches he has, cutter, curveball, sinker, are all in and around 25%.
So let's just say that's split down the middle.
75% of the pitches could be any one of those three. You don't know what the fuck's coming, and that's a cutter, curveball, and sinker. They all move in three different directions. So
I feel like that's
fucking nasty.
That's a huge part of his dominance.
And the sinker and cutter are about the same speed.
Yeah, and he's comfortable with it. They're all working, and he's throwing them at the same frequencies. So that just throws batters off. But
and then when
I'd
you
be
get a
curious to see
fastball, it's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, what the fuck is this bullshit?
Yeah, when one of them stays straight.
Yeah,
right.
It's like an MLB The Show when you get one down the dick and then you just swing and miss because we're expecting it.
See, that's weird too. Yeah, 100%. But that's weird too. That like when you're preparing for him, you walk in like Chapman, for example. You expect fastball, you sit fastball. I know he's got the other pitches now, but usually like Chapman of old, you're expecting fastball. You sit fastball, whatever. That's your game plan going in. What the hell do you do against the pitcher that mixes it up like that? I think
Pick a
it's
spot.
kind of crazy. So Kluber, keep it going, man. Expected batting average against him has been 227, and his whiff percentage is 29%. It's pretty damn good, and those are both better than in 2015. So those are pretty good numbers. Obviously, smaller sample size, but I think it's enough of a sample size.
One more thing about Kluber. I don't know if either of you guys have the stats for it, but we know how many of his starts have been caught by Higgy and how many by Gary? I can't imagine Higgy not catching him
Ever again,
throughout
yeah.
the rest of the year.
Especially because all the high praise he gave Higgy after the game.
What did he specifically say to Higgy? I remember seeing something good.
He just said Higgy
caught
was
a hell
a
of a
huge part
game.
of it. He was great back there, and it was a huge part of the reason why.
Speaking of that, we haven't really talked about that as much. I am fully on board with this being Higgy's team. I have it's no longer at the beginning of the season. For me specifically, it was more of Gary hate than Higgy love. I'm starting to fucking love this guy. I know his hitting hasn't been unreal. He does still have 5 home runs. So if you want to, how many does Gary have? That?
Who fuck cares?
No, I'm just
Holy
saying.
shit.
I'm just saying if you're
better.
making the conversation about offense, they have the same, if not equal, if not a little bit better in Higgy's production offensively. And dude,
I said this the other
man
episode.
absolutely fucking. We've
He's 5
noticed
home runs too.
Okay, same amount of home runs. So if you want more production out of, if you're like, oh, Gary can hit more home runs, untrue. Just man, we've talked about it before. Higgy is 99th percentile in pitch framing, and you can see it. That is one of those stats. You know, you look at a bunch of things like the Glaber defensive WAR, and you kind of like, really? Are you sure about that? How's that calculated? But when you see, it doesn't really match the eye test. You know what I mean? But when you see Higgy behind the dish. And he is absolutely stealing strikes in and around everywhere, outside, inside. We saw it yesterday. I remember specifically, there was a back-to-back pitches. One was on the low outside corner, definitely missed. He's just so good at pitch framing. The one on the outside, he brings it in. It's actually an art to watch. It's very cool.
Dude, especially like what Greg was saying before, how, he's not just a thrower type. He's pinpointing things. They're trying to, it's control and command, and that's what Kluber is. It's also what Cole is. Cole's also a fucking those gas, but he also does the control and command thing. But
it's an art on both sides.
If your control and command is your main dominance when you're pitching, you need a catcher who can actually frame and know what he's doing.
Yeah, it's totally an art on both sides, and I can't get enough of it. I love that aspect of baseball. I love the little things. The home run ball I can do without.
Even watching Chapman pitch today and Gary catch. Like, I don't know if you're watching, but there was a ball right at Gary. He just dropped it. And that could have been framed because it was on the outside corner, and it just dropped. It's ridiculous.
I think this is Higgy's team. I'm fully on board with days that Higgy is in. I'm happy on days that Gary's in. I am not. And if that makes you cry, Gary supporters, I'm sorry, but I'm really not. I put out a tweet the other day saying that, is it a coincidence that Higgy was catching the no-hitter? And then I immediately put below it as a thread. I was like, this is a joke. So don't cry, Gary supporters. And then I replied to that. I was like, but it's not a joke because it's actually not. And dude, it's just I'm happy when he's in. Not when Gary's in. But one thing I did want to talk about before we move on to the knots is obviously this no-hitter happened, so let's talk about this little... we're going to mix segments here because we usually do rounding third here on the on the Tuesday episodes, and we do hot or not on the Friday episode. But we're going to do a rounding third because it's relevant to today. So why don't we get into the rounding third? Rounding third.
Gotta send him home. Here's the throw to the plate. He is.
So rounding third, if you're tuning in for the first time, and for Greg, since he is new, rounding third, I am going to try and prove something. I'm going to plead my case. You're going to tell me if I'm safe or out. There'll be a play at the plate. My rounding third is about no-hitters, and I think this rounding third, is one of the more weird ones because you think about no-hitters and how exciting they are, and, there's been 6 in not even 2 months. The season is 6 months. It's not even summer yet, and there's been 6. There's 1 away from the most ever in MLB history to tie it. I think it's a little bit of a problem, and here's why. It's that I think the MLB has a no-hitter problem because the MLB average batting average is 236. Do you know what the lowest batting average ever is in a single season?
In MLB?
Ever in the history of the MLB since 1869.
I'd have to imagine it's above 250.
I was gonna say 250.
The lowest batting average ever?
Yeah, I was gonna say 250.
It's this 236.
Oh, what was it before that?
There's only been 1 time ever that it's been in the 230s, and I think it was 239. 1 time in the 1890s, and everything else has been either 240 or above, and some were way higher. But this is the lowest batting average ever across the board in the MLB. The home runs per hits allowed, this is on a per game basis, is 1.14. Last year was 1.28, and in 2019 when the juice balls were at their peak was 1.39, which was the highest ever. And right now, 1.14 is the 7th highest ever home runs allowed in a single game. Do we have a problem? That's another reason saying, hey, home runs are happening a lot. And then the other thing, with 3 true outcomes, home run strikeouts are at an all-time high. Also, most ever of strikeouts per game is 8.98. There's no secret as to why there have been 6 no-hitters. It's because people are hitting 236, striking out 9 times a clip per game, and they're trying to hit the home runs more than ever. It's just...
I guess it's a little like, not confusing, but I don't, like, is it a problem? Like, what does that mean? Is it a problem?
I think that's a problem. I think
in terms of what, though? In terms of the MLB
in terms
popularity?
of it not being
like,
exciting. I mean, I have a blast, but, you know, if everybody's trying to hit home runs, I have been a big... And they're trying... They're trying to fix it.
Home runs or just about no-hitters?
It's both. The home runs are... The fixation for everybody hitting home runs is causing the no-hitters to happen because everyone's trying to hit the long ball, thus bringing their batting average down to the lowest it's been ever, and the strikeouts are higher than they ever have been per game too. So all of those things combined, it's just not as exciting as a product on the field. I just hit the ball more, hit more singles. It's just, that's all I want, and it's just clearly not going to happen. That's the way people are coming up, and launch angle is preferred, and that's how you get paid and all that stuff. And
all right, I think there's a lot going on here. In terms of, like, we're talking about launch angle, talking about home runs, talking about no hitters.
What do you even? It's everything all combined. I don't know what you're saying.
But
why does it have to be one thing?
Because
the one reason why it's a problem.
Because you said your initial question is does MLB have a problem with no hitters?
Yeah, do they?
Well, then you're talking about home runs and shit.
That's the point. That's what is causing the no hitters. I was giving evidence as to why this isn't a fluke.
No, I'm aware of why no hitters are happening. My question is,
so what are we talking about here?
Because I asked, why is it a problem?
Because I mean, there's a certain level of chance that happens with a no hitter. That's no secret too. But the odds are forever in your favor if people are hitting the ball like they never have. If they've never even seen baseballs before. This is the worst offensive production we've seen in baseball ever. The most strikeouts and the lowest batting average. I don't know why you're just acting like you're just dismissing these facts I'm putting in here.
I understand the facts. I understand why it's happening. I understand everything that's going on. My question is, why is it a problem for the MLB?
Because it's not fun to watch a million strikeouts. Joey Gallo had like 200 strikeouts the other.
It's been really exciting to watch these 6 no-hitters so far. I've had a blast watching them.
But does it dilute it? Because
when we're in
it's easy.
And when we're in September watching the 20th, is it going to change?
then what are we talking about there? It's May 20th.
I still think it's exciting to watch. I don't know.
It's gonna. I don't know. I was trying to find some kind of metaphor that would have been really funny, and trust me, it was. I had something, but it was gonna be funny, but it's not gonna be that exciting to watch when you see the 20th. And we're currently on pace.
Be 20.
Let's do a quick math. While you talk.
It's like saying I hit 1 home run in the first game of the season. I'm on pace to hit 162 home runs.
That's not the same because these are things that happen so fucking few and far between. Home runs, yeah, there's that. I know what you're talking about when somebody hits a home run the first 3 games of the year. Oh, they're on pace for 162 home runs. Obviously, that's not what I'm fucking talking about. There are 6 no-hitters thrown. How many were thrown in not last year, 2019? Someone look that up for me?
I have right here. There's been 4.
4 in 2019?
There's been 4 in 2019, 3 in 2018, 1 in 2017, 1 in 2016.
And Damon, how many have there been this year?
Well, the most was in 2015.
It's not a problem?
6.
Is there a shock as to why the most is in 2015 in the modern era of baseball where all of the batting averages and all every year the numbers that I gave you that you just dismissed, the batting average being 236.
I'm not dismissing anything. I'm agreeing with the facts.
They're all getting worse every single year. So there's no shock to me that the modern years are where the most no-hitters are being thrown.
I'm well aware of all these stats. Believe me, I pay attention to baseball.
Doesn't seem like it sometimes.
But okay, so let's just say that there's 7 no-hitters in the whole season, right? There's 2 more or 1 more. Let's just say 8. Let's say 8. All right. Let's say that there's 8 no-hitters. There's 2 more the rest of the year.
Or 25.
Are we still gonna say there's a problem? Were people saying that in 2015 when there was 7?
You're just gonna act like we're just gonna throw 2 for the rest of the year when we've thrown 6.
I don't know.
We might throw 2 tonight.
It's still fucking hard.
What's Drew Smiley doing right now? He's got a low pitch count. I don't know. Greg, what do you think? Safe or out?
All right, so I'm going to say out but I don't know if I answered that correctly. But just
So
hear me
there
out.
isn't a problem, you're saying?
No, I'm saying there is a problem.
Okay, so I'm
But
safe.
I'm gonna answer this like I'm in like my senior year English class, and I'm gonna look deeper into your question. I think it's not just a problem with the no hitter. I think it's a problem with the entire MLB. Just like you were saying, with the batting averages, the home runs, and it's a problem that was made by the MLB. So obviously, we know in 2019 there was the juice balls, right? Well, and I think that might have even been 2018 too, because that's when we started to see it. And all of these players that are now, this is their like fourth year in the league. And obviously, this isn't speaking for all of the players before that, but they've adapted to using this new ball where they know if they get the perfect launch angle, it's going to be a homer. Now, this past year, the MLB has reduced that, and they've changed the ball to make it not go as far in the hope that there's going to be more singles drop in, more doubles, more triples, but instead they're just fly ball outs. And it's almost like these players have like forgotten how to hit for singles, and instead of like Nick Madrigal is a great example. He could not give a shit if he hits a home run. He's hitting just about 300. All he wants is singles. Like there's no hitters like that in the game anymore. Exactly. Yeah. Like
Nobody gives a shit. And the coach, did you hear his coach too? I forget the coach's name, but he was like, dude, I don't want to hear anything. I don't give a fuck about home runs. If you aim for hitting 300, that's what we want out of you. And that's what I want out of everybody. I've been preaching that on this podcast. I've been saying, hey, I want a small ball team. I want to do the little things, all that stuff.
Here's the thing, though.
So it's 2-1. Damon loses as usual.
Here's the thing.
Outnumbered. You stink.
Sure, whatever you say. I think that the other factor is though is like
You're just wrong.
oh my god, you're the worst person to talk to.
Oh well, lucky for you, you're on a podcast.
What I'm trying to fucking get out of my mouth is it's also another big thing is the fact that pitchers are getting better and better every year and everyone's throwing 101 miles an hour now. Like pitchers are getting so much better and hitters are getting not worse, but they're changing their method of hitting. So
it's definitely
I wouldn't just blame hitters going for launch angle hitting home runs. Yeah, it's a factor, but also pitchers are getting better every single year.
Why can't hitters get better every single year?
Because that's not how it's so much easier to evolve in throwing faster than being able to see the ball come in better.
And I do have to give.
It's not how humans work.
I can agree with that.
I have to give Dame this too because not us personally, but I know fans of the MLB have had the same conversation before when the shift was just being introduced and everybody said, well, why don't you just hit around the shift? Why don't you just hit the ball down the third base line? And it's because they don't want to adjust.
Yeah. I fucking hate the shift. This is not a shift podcast. We do not like the shift. Do you like this shift, Greg?
No, I hate it, but I liked it last night because DJ was in the perfect spot.
I did say that.
Yeah.
I tweeted
exactly
that. It's like this is the one and only time that I'll ever say thank God for the shift because that I forgot to mention that on the plays of the game. Like obviously routine play because based on where he was, but that was totally like he was. That's a hit. That was a routine hit, like a textbook single up the middle, and that was. I mean, they got the right scouting report there, so maybe that's a part of the reason why no hitters are happening more often because people in getting the right scouting reports on players and they're in the right. They got the lineup card and where do I stand? Where he's gonna hit it? Maybe the analytics are just taking over there too. But it's a combination of a lot of things. That's why I brought up a lot of things too. And I personally, if I ran the league right now. And I was Rob Manfred. One, the world would be a better place. Two, I would get rid of the shift, and I would. I don't know.
How many no hitters do you think there have been?
Lower the mound.
In MLB history.
Huh?
How many no hitters do you think there has been in MLB history?
6.
351.
That was really specific.
It's because I heard it last night. Is that it?
I have 311 here.
Okay, it's close to that. I knew there was a 1 at the end. It started with a 3.
More than 6.
There's only been 21 perfect games though.
Yeah, that's kind of upsetting that it was he had didn't he have the walk in the first?
Yeah, something like that.
And he had 8 perfect innings after that.
I saw people complaining too because apparently that ball 4 was probably a strike, but you can't say that because a 3-1 count, who knows what he's throwing, and if that becomes a hit, so whatever. I'll take the no hitter.
I genuinely think Gary wouldn't have. I think it would have not been a no hitter if Gary's on the plate.
That's
not a me. That's not a me
chance.
being mean to Gary thing. I genuinely believe that.
I agree.
I think I saw somewhere
Safe?
that he didn't.
On that one statement, sure.
Okay, cool.
He didn't shake Higgy off once the entire game.
No, they were locked in every time. Dude, they had the pitch. He was
You're
in the
telling me
windup.
Gary's not getting shaked off?
No,
That's a
looking,
really good point. I was watching very closely at the end when he was like doing the little like outside fastball.
He didn't say no once.
No, he was just do.
Okay,
locked
Papa.
in.
Okay,
Yeah, whatever you
okay.
say.
Whatever you. We're fucking working right now, and
Yeah.
dude, he was already in the windup by the time I looked. Like, the pitch hits the fucking glove, back to him in the windup already going again.
Yeah.
And granted, I mean, I do love to give Higgy praise, but it makes it a lot easier to call a game when you got a pitcher with all four of your pitches working.
True.
They were certainly
Very true.
working. You guys want to get into the knots? We kind of went in the hots and talked a lot about a little rounding third action. I mean, Corey Kluber did throw a fucking no-hitter, so we can go a little bit off script here today. How about that?
There you go.
Yeah? How about we get into the knots?
Let's do it.
You're doing the knots?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we don't do, like, buy or sell this. You just say worried, not worried, because there's a lot of confusion.
I know.
with this.
I've been confused, and I do this.
If the sound would play for me, Mr. Soundboard. Okay. So the knots, Gregory. I'm not talking to you, talking to him, but, you like the sound. Jameson Taillon, last 3 starts, 11 earned runs given up, 15.1 innings pitched, 5 walks, 6.46 ERA. He's 1-3 on the season with a 5.73 ERA.
Worried.
Worried. Garrett Cole, his last start, 5 innings pitched, 5 earned, 2 walks, 7 hits.
I mean, what are we talking about?
Dumb
here?
question, Luke. I know, just needed to bring it up. That should have been an honorable mention.
That should be a topic of conversation, not in a.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. And you got to not be worried about some of them. Greg bought all the fucking hots, so for good reason. But I should have diversified more.
It's a toss-up.
Yankees offense: 3 out of the last 4 games this series versus Texas, we scored 2 runs. And in the Rays series, 2 out of the 3 games, we scored 1 run. And there was only 3 in the third game. So basically, in the last 15 days, teams not named the Orioles, we've scored about an average of 1.5 runs a game.
Not worried. There's like 3 people in the lineup that are starters.
Gary Sanchez, last 30 days, 158 batting average, 3 home runs. Stinks.
I mean, worried. I'm out on him.
Got a ball to the
I said
chest,
that
dropped
last
it.
episode. I'm out on him.
Mike Ford in the month of May, 3 for 27, 111 batting average, 361 OPS, 10 strikeouts out of 27 at bats. That's almost a 50% K percentage.
Let's just say I'd love to buy him a ticket to Scranton.
We still can. So,
worried.
Those were the knots. So let's just recap here. So you were worried about Taillon, obviously not worried about Cole. Another honorable mention, Chad Green hasn't really been... Honestly, we haven't really seen much of Chad Green lately. He's had 3.2 innings pitched in the last 15 days, 3 earned runs, and 3 strikeouts. So basically, an earned run every inning and a strikeout every inning.
I mean, the Wise goes
The
become the
usage.
new Green.
Huh?
The Wise has become the new Green.
But Green's having a good year. Like I saw some stat that was, I forget exactly what it was, but it was, he's on the list of people that have the most 1+ inning outings with 0 earned runs in the league. If not, I think it was in the league. I'll pull it up right now. Yeah, AL most relief appearances with 1.1+ innings pitched and 0 runs. Cal Quantrill at 7, Chad Green at 6, Loizaga at 6. Not bad.
Yeah.
So a bad little 15-day stretch, mainly because he hasn't been really used that much, and maybe that is to explain that is that, and that's something I've always said about relievers, and why I always want to get Chapman regular usage, because when you're rusty and you haven't gone in a while, you're not really gonna have your best stuff. Which also, speaking of that, Chapman didn't throw for a long time, and he comes out and he hits fucking 103 miles per hour because he's just so fresh and ready to go.
Yeah,
That
awesome.
off topic on this a little bit. He is absolutely. I've talked about before on this podcast. There is no question. I brought it up as a rounding third before, Greg. Is Chapman the best we've ever seen him, including 2012 Reds or Aroldis Chapman? I don't even think I was safe in that moment, but I don't even think there's a question anymore. Still hasn't allowed an earned run.
Yeah, I mean he's automatic at this point.
It's literally automatic. Dude, I don't want to say it, but I do want to say it.
Don't say it.
Don't say. I don't know what you're gonna
What?
say. Just don't say it.
I
I
don't even
think
know
I
what
have
I'm
an
gonna
idea
say.
of what you're gonna say.
What?
Do it.
Guess what? What do you think I'm going to say?
I don't know. That's why I'm worried.
I
what
think
is it?
we can start if he continues this for at least another month. We start talking about him being up in there as best reliever seasons we've seen.
Oh,
Okay, not
I-
where I thought you were going.
I thought you were
think
gonna go with like MVP or like something
No,
crazy.
no,
Or
no.
I
some
thought
shit.
you were gonna compare him to Mariano.
No, but I think if he continues to have a fucking season like this, we can talk about him having one of the best single seasons on the Yankees.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen,
Better than
he,
potentially better than any Mariano season if he continues this. I don't know that any reliever has done this.
he's having a historic season, and right now there is no one in the MLB I'd rather have in the ninth inning in a safe situation, which I could not confidently say last year, the year before that.
Yeah, imagine that. I haven't been confident in him the past couple years either, but this year, I have no worry whatsoever.
Dude, I used to
Let's
sweat
just
more. I
pray-
used to sweat more than him when I
Yeah.
was watching the games.
Let's just pray he's like this in October because we've seen him go through stretches where it's like this and then all
Yeah,
of a sudden
that's
he
true.
can't locate at all. So just
He's
pray
never
we get
been like this,
And
though.
I know. Let's just hope that the bat part comes out in August or something, and then we get good Chapman back in October.
Yeah.
So you said you weren't worried about the Yankees' offense?
No, not at all.
They have a 229 batting average the last 2 weeks, and they're just, dude, against the Orioles, they put up 6, 5, 7. But out of the last 8 other games outside the Orioles series, they've put up 2 and 1 runs and 3 once.
Yeah, I know, but we're
And all season, we haven't been the best offensively. I don't know the numbers specifically where we rank across the league, but I doubt it's very good.
I know, but Judge was out, Urshela wasn't playing, Stanton, the best hitter, is out.
Yeah, but when does that become just our regular
Yeah.
offense? Like you can
Are
say
they ever
that-
going to be back in the lineup together?
Yeah, you could say that. Oh, yeah, these guys are out. They also get
Well, then-
regularly
well, then it's-
scheduled
well,
off
then am I-
days,
well,
and
then am
this
I-
is just our production on a day in day out basis,
Well, then the question is really just my worried about injuries going forward,
which is obviously a resounding yes.
which is obviously yeah.
I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about the offense. Like the pitching has been. We just did a hot for the pitching, and now the not is the offense. Could you imagine before the season? I told you. One, that we would be doing the segment, which I'm happy about. It's a fun segment. But two, that would be the way it went. If you asked me who would be hot, who would be not all season long, I would say the pitching would be not and the hitting would be hot. And it is literally the opposite and the pitching has been all league unbelievable.
Well, here's the thing. I think that the reason why I guess I'm not really worried is because I feel like those stats are a little bit skewed because we have some outliers who have just been horrendous. So
We also have a few outliers who have been fantastic on the pitching side too.
true, but
Outside of Tyone and Montgomery, who haven't been great, those numbers for the starting rotation,
Very
if you
true.
just count Cole, Kluber, and Domingo, the starting rotation gets even fucking better.
true. But what I'm trying to say is like
They would have, like, a 0 yard.
our main guys are starting to hit. Like LeMahieu, Judge, Stan was hitting. Urshela's been the clutchest guy ever. Like the main core group of people are doing their part, and they're finally growing into, their spot in the lineup. Voigt's back, and he hasn't really clicked just yet.
We've been
but-
waiting for that.
we're
He
still
hasn't
waiting
been
for that.
horrible, but he's been hitting like.
But
I think he's
I'm
hitting
still
236.
confident about him. He's hitting the ball hard, left and right, so I'm not too worried. But I don't know. I feel like the main guys are hitting well, and we've always just been like there's we don't have a set lineup ever. So as long as the main guys are doing their job, I'm not really that, and we're winning. So I'm not too worried. We're figuring it out. We don't need to score. We don't need to win every game 7-0.
We are winning baseball games. That's fun. One other thing I did want to bring up is, I think we're done with the knots.
Yeah, Mike Ford can leave.
Mike Ford can
I
go
hope
to the
I hope
moon.
he leaves.
Well, we did. I was hoping that when Glaber came up, that Mike Ford would be sent. But
I just
he
hate his
wasn't.
facial expressions too when he's just like, "Yep, that was a strike." Down
We
the
did
middle.
hear
Yep.
from from an inside source. Oh, you didn't know about this. Chandler's buddy, he will be not named, but he does play for the Yankees in the minor league in the system. I'm not gonna name any names. He'll be our source.
We
He
drank
said
a lot.
he said Ford was a dick.
I
Oh, you
yeah,
were there.
Real.
I forgot you were there.
I was there. I mean, I was.
I
kinda
could see
there.
it. Like Princeton boy, like thinking he's like hot shit.
Yeah, apparently with the Astros, everybody in the locker room was talking about the Astros thing, and he was like, "Come on, guys, give it a rest. Like that's who cares anymore."
Oh, fuck him.
And it was
Get him off
like a couple weeks after it happened, and people were still talking about it in the locker room. He was just like, "Come on, guys."
I'm still talking about him now.
I think that's what he sounds
Get him
like.
off the team.
I don't know what he sounds like.
I
Come
don't know,
on, guys, they've had enough.
guys.
Imagine how pissed you'd be to see what the Yankees fans did when the Astros came into town.
Yeah, I know. I
Come
don't know.
on. You think he would have gone on the field and be, "Come on, guys, they're done.
Let's just have
It's all
fun."
right. Let's just everybody
Probably
have fun."
apologized to Altuve.
Yeah, I'm sorry for them, dude.
I
If,
know.
if Altuve ever got to first base, which he didn't.
He just has a face that just looks annoying to me. And that's just on top of him sucking.
I liked him with the stash, but no stash.
Yeah, once you get rid of the stash, you're not funny anymore, and now you're just an asshole.
Yeah. I want to go back quickly to the other knot with Gary Sanchez. How you asked if you're worried or not, and
It's beyond the
I-
point
I
of
would-
word.
there's not even worried. Like I just could care less about him. Like,
Yeah, no, it's literally not even are you worried anymore. It's like, do you have any faith whatsoever that he could ever find? What is your likelihood that, like, what's your percentage chance you'll give it that he can get back to that offensive player that he was in 2016, 17?
He's not. He's gonna. This is what
What's your percentage chance?
No, 10.
Less,
Because I
less
think,
than 1%.
I think he's going to.
10.
Because here's why. Here's why. I think in like
10?
well, let me fucking finish. I think that in like
It's high.
July, like late July to early August, he's gonna go on some ridiculous tear, and everyone's gonna go crazy again. That's gonna bring his average up to 200, and and then like
Up to 200.
yeah, because he's gonna be batting about 140 at that point. But I'm so lost with him. I couldn't care less. But I do think he's the streakiest person ever.
This is Higgy's team.
It's
you think we
Higgy's
trade
team.
him?
I think he has negative trade value, so no. Who
I don't
would
think we
take
do.
him?
I don't think so.
And you know,
sure
that's not
somebody would
exactly
take
true.
a waiver on
Yeah,
him.
no, that's not
'Cause-
true. I think he would have relative trade value because the catcher position is so bad, and that's why I've never been. And I have been hard on Gary, but I'm starting to realize how bad the catcher position is offensively as a whole, and that's why Gary is in the for the past couple years combined, he's been in the upper echelon of offensive production when you look at it relatively to the catcher position, because the catcher recently has been just basically the pitcher up. And,
Yeah.
That's why I've been prioritizing the catcher defense, because if everybody's not going to hit, I want you to be able to fucking steal strikes and allow your pitcher to have a fucking shot at throwing a no-hitter. Wow. Who did that? Higgy. Okay.
Yeah.
That's enough of this catcher.
I want Higgy
This is Higgy's team.
Higgy to play, and then Austin Wells come up, and he'll
In the
take
playoffs,
over.
you think it's 100% Higgy all the time?
I wouldn't play
I'm
Gary
praying.
unless we need to DH him. That's the only situation I want him. I
Yeah.
want him on a field.
I don't
is
think I could
DHing.
take a position where Gary's catching Chapman in the ninth inning of a series clinching game. I don't think I can
never.
handle that.
If it's the bottom of the ninth, the World Series, and Gary started the whole game and he played the whole game,
Higgy better be in.
Higgy better be in there for last inning.
I
don't
would
care.
rather have Mike Ford behind the plate than Gary Sanders.
That's a
behind the plate
very
in the
bold
ninth
statement,
inning.
but I might just agree with you just for shits and giggles.
Same. I just don't want to see Gary behind the plate, because at least if you put Ford back there, like, oh, okay.
You expect it to be
You
bad.
expect it to be bad. Well, I still
Well,
expect it to be
we
bad,
still
but
expect it to be
but he's
bad.
not. But he's out of position, so give him a break. But they were talking to. I think they asked Boone about. It's funny about this conversation about who would the emergency catcher would be, because when Gary was hurt a couple of games ago, Higgy was the only catcher on the roster, and he's like, who would the emergency catcher be? I'm pretty sure he said Ford, Voigt, or like he said some.
I think he said. Did he say Gio?
I don't know. He said some nonsense names that I wouldn't expect to be the emergency catcher. If you had to guess one person to be the emergency catcher, who would you think it would be, Greg? Who do you think could fucking get behind the dish?
I think Gio, honestly.
Yeah, I think somebody like Gio.
Yeah, he does get
'Cause
down and
just
dirty
because-
with it.
Yeah, like he's got a good glove.
Yeah.
He's pretty athletic.
Trying to
See
think
if
who-
Van Duhar can do it. Maybe.
Dude, he
Fuck,
can't.
why not?
I mean, I'll answer that for you. He can't.
Did you see
Now exactly
it's-
how much pot did you smoke?
I had to use that
Sanchez
one.
was out fielding balls at third base the other day?
Who?
before the Sanchez was
That'd
before the
be-
game.
that'd be
I don't
a
know if I've
joke.
talked about this before on this podcast, but I don't get that. Why do that? Like, why are you doing the out of position fielding just in case? How about just get the extra couple reps at your position? Because it's the guys who aren't good at their primary position that are getting reps at other positions. Like Gary's getting reps at first.
Well, it's for like emergency purposes.
I get it, but like maybe
Like
get
it
a
at
couple
every
extra
level.
reps at your position so you can not be the worst.
Yeah.
In high school, our coach had us everybody on the team hit the opposite way one day for batting practice. It makes no sense sometimes.
How'd you guys do?
Terrible.
Okay.
It was fun though. Not gonna
There
lie.
you go. Maybe you should just work at the craft that you're going to be doing and then not wasting time with other stuff. That's how I feel about, Voit playing fucking catcher. I think if I were to pick somebody to be catcher, I think it would be Gio, but just to be different, I think I would take Odor.
Did you say Judge?
Odor. That doesn't sound the
No.
same.
Before that.
Just to be different, I would take Odor. I didn't say Judge.
Oh.
I don't want.
I thought you said
The
I thought
catcher
you said
takes
I
the
would
most beating
say-
behind the plate. You think he's
Yeah, that's
not
what-
durable now?
I thought you said I would take Judge, but just to be different, I would take Odor.
No, I would take Gio, but just to be different.
Dude, he couldn't even
Gotcha.
crouch down for that long.
No.
There's no way he would.
He would
couldn't-
pull. He would
yeah.
pull something.
So we talked about it a lot last episode about the trade situation, and there was a few other names that came up in mind, and I wanted to run them by you, Greg, because you haven't talked about these with us yet, and you do have one guy in particular, and I can see you licking your chops.
I know
And
where this is going.
we brought it up actually last episode, and everybody kind of dismissed it, and I didn't really do much research on it, to be honest. I was more focused on the guys like Starlin Marte and Benintendi and all the other guys that I actually really want. So before you get into your little spiel about your boy, and we know he's your favorite and we could get after him, but there are a few names that I really think would be really. You know what? Better yet, why don't you start us off?
Go ahead and go with the other names first, because I gotta get one more point I need.
Okay, so a couple of names that I think would be interesting, and I want to just I don't want to talk too much about these, but I do want to throw them back in the mix so that if they do happen, we can check the tape and be like, oh, we got that one right too, just like we got the Darren O'Day thing right and the Corey Kluber thing right. Just kind of like you throw as many things into the pot, and if one of them hits, then we could say we got it. But I would definitely like to see a guy like Raimel Tapia, because he's one of those low key players. He's on a shit bum team in the Rockies. He's making $1.9 million. And this deal, there's a few that are on my wish list that I hope happen, and I don't think will happen. Like Starlin Marte, as much as I want him to be on the Yankees, I don't think that that's entirely likely considering how much he does make. And he's a righty, and we know they're in for lefties, all that stuff. I would love him to be on the team. Don't think it's going to happen. Because especially, we only have $5 million to stay under the luxury tax, and we know they want to stay under the luxury tax. Marte would be all of that, and we know they also probably would like to get a pitcher also. So they would probably like to do a bunch of cheaper moves, which Raimel Tapia makes $1.9 million this year. Split that in half, he's only costing you fucking like $850,000. So when you talk about that, he's worth it, and he's having himself a fucking good year. He's batting .284. He's got 4 home runs, 22 ribbies, 5 stolen bases. He's a lefty bat who can fucking steal bags and is apparently a good hitting for average, and he can play good defense. Him and basically anybody. We didn't even mention this team, and I know Alejandro, one of our best listeners, did DM us this. So shout out to you, Max Kepler. I completely forgot about, and he's not having the best year, so maybe that's why he's hitting like Mendoza right now, but. Everybody, and we didn't even think about the Twins in general. I did realize how bad they were doing, but for whatever reason, I just kind of was more.
They were supposed to be good. That's
I was
why.
more focused
And they have
when we
good
were talking
players,
about it.
too.
Yeah, I was more focused on the teams that are really bad, like the Pirates, Rockies, Diamondbacks, and all the teams that are bad, the Rangers. The Twins, you said it too, Greg. They have good players. They have enough good players that can be big trade pieces. Like if I'm the Twins and we're having such a bad year, I even heard Trevor Plouffe was talking about it. He was on the Twins, he's a big Twins fan, and he was saying, dude, if we do this for another month, we're in full-blown sell mode. And there are some big fish on that team that could actually, like if you're the Twins and you're doing this bad, these guys can legitimately bring back a good haul. So it could be a good reset button. Guys like Jorge Polanco, I don't know that we need him. Nelson Cruz could bop for another team. We don't need him as well. Barrios we could go for. Who knows? He's a potential. He's a good arm. He's
Need to go for a
I heard
lot
J
for him.
Hap's doing
I
pretty
heard
well.
J Hap's available. I don't want J Hap for the fucking life of me, but I do think that I'd be very. I think Max Kepler has moved up my list. I wouldn't put him at number 1, but he's damn close. He's a lefty who can hit for power, and he's a good outfielder. He's not having the best start to the year, but we know what Max Kepler can do.
I think the other interesting thing about that division, though, is like, even if you say fuck it and then just go into sell mode, that division's usually pretty fucking wide open at the start of the year. Like, I think that.
That's what she said.
No. That was
Wish
that was
Murph
not.
was here to grade my
I think he would.
performance there.
Yeah, we'll play.
Every
back
time
for
I
him.
play that, I wait for the right moment, Greg, and I try and get a 10 out of 10 one. Like, that was so funny. That one was probably like a 3. I'll give myself a 3 on that
that
one.
was poorly
You
executed.
did say it was wide open.
Yeah, but
This time of year.
better context.
Whatever.
Anyway,
I'll score it low.
another topic where I get interrupted. So
I mean, it wasn't me. It was Michael.
Michael Scott.
It was my. Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck. What were you saying?
doesn't matter anymore.
It totally matters. Like, don't just be a gripe.
No, I'm saying like the division is very winnable in any year, and a lot of those like,
AL Central.
Yeah, the AL Central. Like at the beginning of the year, when we were kind of predicting who's going to be like, what's the order going to be? I don't know. I feel like it's always just goes back and forth. And who would have thought the Royals would be decent this year? We all thought the Twins were going to be great.
Well, I think the Royals are gonna come back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, but
early.
I guess I'm just trying to say like that division, you know, like the NL Central too, like those divisions are pretty winnable in any given year. You know, it's not like the AL East where we have a pretty good idea of the top teams, even though this year is really, really tight. But I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's not
That would
going to
have
be
been a
one or
better
two
that's
teams.
what she said moment.
I smiled.
But you
I was
killed it
gonna
on the
do
first time.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it again.
There's not going to be one or two teams that just beat the other three teams like relentlessly in that division. They're all just going to beat up on each other and all going to end up like it's a bad division to tank in.
There's
You're gonna
no
accidentally win
like
games.
clear leading team.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
and there's no clear losing team. I think
exactly. Yeah,
like, the Tigers suck. Yeah, don't get me
The
wrong.
White Sox are the best team in baseball right now.
I feel like the NL East is also a division like that where pretty much, you know, any
It's tough to be a
any
seller
given
in a
year.
league that's that tight.
But is it tough or is it give more opportunity?
That's true.
You know,
I don't know.
it's
though.
easier to hit the reset button.
The message that sends to the fans, though, when there's not a clear-cut winner in the division and you just sell, that doesn't send a good message when you're 5 games out.
Right,
you
but
know?
when you know you're not going to win and
That's
you
not,
and
but
you
you
know
don't
that,
know you're not going to win.
But I'm saying like what Trevor Plouffe was saying was like if this happens for another month and you are pretty good idea you're not going to win, then just hit the reset button and then next year you have the same odds. Like you can be a not better, but maybe you could be a more better upside team.
I just think
guess.
there's a lot of benefit to them selling because they have such players. They do actually have star-studded players. And for whatever reason, the team is underperforming and maybe they need to change the scenery. I don't know, but I think it'd be interesting, and I definitely would put Kepler on the radar. What would you like to do, Greg?
Actually, I want to bring up quick one of the players that you just did mention.
Yeah.
Barrios.
Yeah.
Are you taking him or Castillo? If we could trade for one, which one are you taking?
I haven't looked at Barrios' stats this year, but I do know
3-2 filthy.
with 3.99 ERA, 1.13 WHIP.
I would take him in less than a heartbeat because Castillo is on my fantasy team. I actually had to skip a start this week for him because he's legitimately the worst pitcher in baseball this year. And you know what's so funny is I'm so happy we didn't trade for him because we were in the market of trading, but the price tag was apparently like Glaber or whatever really high, and the Reds were like, "Nah, we're gonna keep our guy." And their guy is hovering around an 8 ERA. He legitimately, every time I look at my fantasy team, I see like, oh, good, he's a starter today. Maybe he'll turn it around today. 8 runs in the third.
Jeez. I didn't even realize he was doing that bad. Jeez.
Yeah, he's
And it's
fucking
I
weird
feel like
because
he's been very
his-
streaky his whole career.
His walks per nine
I
are
don't know.
pretty much around what his career has been. His home runs per nine are right around there too. But
He's just fucking
his
giving
batting
it
average
up.
balls in play is 391.
How
People are
old
just
is he?
fucking, his batting average in
like
balls in play is
20.
391.
Yeah.
Dude, people are fucking tearing the cover off the ball on him.
He's 28.
Dude, I do believe that he will turn it around. I don't think this is the pitcher that he is.
I really thought he was older.
But, and maybe, honestly, maybe this is the pitcher that he is because he hasn't had much of a sample size of being great for that long. So maybe, I don't know. He's pretty fucking terrible right now. For the purposes of your question, I'm taking Barrios without even batting an eyelash.
All right. So now, Luke, we'll get to what everybody's been waiting for.
Yeah, the world's
You guys
been
brought
waiting
him
for
up.
this.
Brought him up briefly on the podcast on Tuesday.
Oh, wow, you
But-
listened.
You know
Oh,
what
yeah.
they were losing too. Oh.
I only knew that because you mentioned it earlier, which days you do hot. and
But
not
you
which days
listened,
do
and that made me
Remington.
happy.
Brian Reynolds.
Brian
I don't know
Reynolds.
if what your opinion is on either of you two, but he is the perfect guy that the Yankees would go after.
Tell me why.
He's 26 years old, so he's young. He still has all of his arbitration years left. He's not even eligible for arbitration until 2022. He's only making $601,000 this year, and he's on a team, the Pirates, who
Sucks.
we've made deals with. We've made deals with before in the past.
True.
So we're familiar with the GM, and I don't. He's a switch hitter. I just think that he's tall. He's
Switch.
6'3".
Switch now.
Where does he play? Outfield?
He plays outfield. He plays primarily center field. He's not a great defender, but he plays primarily center and
We
left. He's probably
are
better suited than left.
In the market for another switch hitter, considering ours stinks.
Ours sucks.
and you know the Yankees love tall players. He's 6'3".
They got a lot of tall guys, huh? The Pirates. They got O'Neal Cruz, who's like 9,000 million feet tall.
Yeah, that checks out.
He's a tree at shortstop. Wild. This isn't a Pirates podcast though. So why do you want Brian Reynolds? What are his stats this year? I know he's
So
cheap. I know he's an outfielder, left switch hitter. Is he
Yeah,
is he like
so-
a better lefty though? That's what we want. The switch hitter doesn't do it for me just on switch hitter alone because when you hear switch hitter and then you look at Hicks's splits from both sides,
Yeah.
he ain't a switch hitter.
That's
He
true.
just,
No,
he
he's-
just likes
he's
to
a
hit
right-handed
from
hitter.
both sides.
He's a righty that can swing in the left side, but doesn't make contact.
Yeah. It
So-
looks good, but it doesn't perform well.
All right, this is not helping my case that much, but granted, it's still a lot better than anybody else on our team. As a lefty this year, he's hitting 255. As a righty, he's hitting 372.
Okay.
I mean,
So-
those stats are better than
He's still,
everybody
I would
else.
consider that still a switch hitter though, because the benefit you get from switching to that side and at least hitting 255, you get you get rid of the lefty matchup, a righty matchup. So that I will give him that. Hicks is like I don't even know his splits, but I think it's
Terrible.
Yeah, it ain't.
No,
it ain't
the left-hand side he was hitting like 0.8.
Yeah, no, he isn't a switch hitter.
He's
I'll
hitting
give-
290 on the year. He's on base percentage of 387, slugging of 455. Last year, I'm not counting because that was a bullshit year. Who knows
Yeah.
what happened? In 2019, he hit 314 with a 377 on base percentage and 503 at slugging. So he doesn't walk a ton, which is something that Hicks does do, but he still does get on base because he hits for high average. He brings another part of baseball to our team, which we don't have. I mean, we only have DJ. He's our only contact hitter. I guess, honestly, you could kind of say Gio's like a somewhat of a contact hitter. I don't know. He's just a good hitter.
He's
But-
he's been hitting 300 since he's been a Yankee. I think.
if Reynolds came on the team, he would have the 5th highest batting average on the team right now. So
Yeah, I think he'd be a great acquisition. He's somebody that the Yankees look for.
wait,
The Yankees,
what's his total batting average? I was just going off the left-hand side.
290.
Oh, so that would make him the second best hitting average on the team.
Yeah, he's a very good underrated player. I don't know how much it would take to get him, honestly, because he is only 26. He has all of his arbitration years left, which I said, but like that's somebody the Yankees like to go for. I think we may have went for Hicks in the same situation a couple of years ago.
But do you think like that he has upside plays into what they'll ask for?
Probably, but at the same time, look at what they've gotten as a return for their other players that had upside. I mean, the Pirates are in a position where Ben Sherrington's the GM there now, right?
Couldn't tell you.
I don't know. You
I
seem
think
confident.
he is. And
That was a name.
somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but like they don't really have a plan. They're just selling everybody, and he's not going to be somebody that fits their window. Their window's not coming within the next 3 years. Once he turns 29, at that point, kind of starts to go downhill almost.
Hey, I'm all
But-
for. How much did you say he makes again?
$600,000.
Okay, yeah. Well, see, the weird thing though is
We could
that
get him and Max Kepler and still be fine.
guys like that though don't really. I feel like he could be one of the ones that goes, but he's young. I guess he doesn't fit the window because he's kind of in his prime right now. But I don't know. With those kind of players, you tend to have to give up more for, which is a weird way of thinking about it because you have to give up more for the shittier, low-paid players than if you were to go for. Relatively, I'm saying if you were to trade for Max Scherzer, who's older and has 1 year left on his contract, it's gonna. I mean, piece by piece, it's gonna cost more for Scherzer. But relative talent, you would think you'd have to spend more on a guy who's better, but you don't. Like the older guys go for less, and the guys with big contracts go for less because you got to eat the contract too.
What's his contract look like?
We just
He's just on his rookie deal still.
he's making $600K.
I knew how much. I
arbitration
know what years.
eligible.
So less than us on the podcast.
Arbitration eligible 2022. He
Not
still
yet,
has
next year.
all three of his minor league options. Not a free agent until 2026. And I know you're saying get a 1 year guy, Luke, but you can have him as a multi-year guy because
Hey, we were talking about that last episode.
Gardner should not be on the team next year. I'm sorry.
Frazier, he shouldn't have been. Luckily, he's doing better now.
I'm not
but
upset with Gardner right now. He's the least of my worries.
Frazier has no business
but
being in
everybody
the
was
MLB.
upset when he initially signed.
Yeah, I've come around on it.
Yeah.
I think I'm
'cause he's
happy
hitting.
he's here because we need him right now.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
On Tuesday, you
Tyler
were
Wade
pretty
is
upset about him being here, not Talkman. But
I do. I want Talkman to come back.
But
I
anyways,
don't care that Talkman's not really playing that well. I still would like Talkman.
next year,
he's got a sweet spot.
you can move him to left field next year and have him be your everyday left fielder.
I mean, apparently
I
Tyler
think
Wade's
that's
our
fine.
right fielder.
Yeah, he's gonna beat Judge out of his spot.
He might beat Clint out of his spot.
I mean, at this
Not
rate,
that hard.
at this rate,
Anybody could beat Clint out of his spot. Before we close out here, I did want to talk a little bit about this is a little bit talk of the MLB right now, but that Yerman Mercedes thing, I just want to get everybody's take, and I want to get a resounding around the table. Fuck the unwritten rules.
hit the crap
Fuck
out of
Tony
the
La
Crap out of the
Russa.
ball. Did you see what CC said? Everybody saw what
Yeah.
CC said, right?
Yeah,
Let me play it on the podcast. I don't have it pulled up. Whatever.
I-
CC basically just shit on the whole thing and said, if you don't want us to hit the ball, don't put a fucking position player on the mound. If you think it's too much, I actually wanted to look up what is the biggest comeback this year or even just every year? What's the biggest comeback ever? Because the unwritten rule makes no fucking sense to me when.
Teams can still come back.
What defines a safe lead? Because that's not even fair. Because because what he said put a 10-run limit, like a mercy rule in. If you're gonna get pissed and throw a guy on the mound and be pissed when people score on you, throw a 10-run mercy rule so the team can at least get the win and not worry about you coming back. Because this is a major league game. I've seen there. I'm hoping you can find that number because I'm really curious what not routinely, but came back from. In games.
well, I'm trying to find a recent year one that's relevant.
I don't know what a safe lead is. And I don't
3-14, 4-15. These are scores, by the way.
So 11. Is it 11
Yeah,
runs?
11,
So
10 runs,
10
10
I know they're up by a
runs.
bunch, but I don't know what a safe lead is because you can never be too safe. It's if you want to get the win, what are you going to do?
But it's I think that it's one, it's you're giving up. Why should we also just give up, right? We're just gonna give you the outs. And I think it was cool what CC said. He was either throw a fucking pitcher or just do the mercy rule. Just give up. Have a white
Take
flag.
your team off
have
the
a white
field,
flag
yeah.
rule.
Yeah.
We don't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
In Little League, hey guys,
I do that all the time.
these kids are not 12 years old. They're hitting the crap out of the ball. Let's give up.
Another
What would
thing.
happen if a manager just pulled the team off the field and they're like, don't go
I mean,
back
they would
out?
never
Just
do
stop
that.
it.
They'd never be able to do that. That'd be even more embarrassing. But I don't know. It's just
One
just
thing
so
about
dumb
that
to me.
though,
I just don't get why people are
Mercedes?
upset about it.
people are genuine. And
Mercedes?
Tony La Russa too. That was a big part of
fuck
it too.
him, though.
His own team. He was like, I'm glad it was handled the way it was afterwards. He's gonna take
This is-
his fucking medicine.
this is the perfect player to have this happen to because I don't know if you saw Mercedes pitched against the Red Sox 2 weeks ago. He was
Yeah.
throwing gas. He was throwing 88 miles an hour. He was throwing off-speed pitches, everything. So if you're gonna have a position player come in, it's not like they can't throw hard.
Yeah, dude.
Just throw it in,
was that today?
at least give an
or-
attempt. If you're
No,
gonna throw
it was
60
today.
mile an hour pitch,
What?
I'm gonna hit a fucking like bomb. And that's got to be a player's mentality.
Yeah.
What
So
was today?
today the Giants Reds game was 19-14 was the end, and the Reds brought in a pitcher and he was throwing 90 miles an hour. He's a position player. He's throwing 90.
They brought a position player in a close game.
19-4.
Oh, I thought you said 14.
Oh, sorry.
I think you did say 14. Check the tape.
I probably did, but it was 90.
I heard 19-4.
Okay.
Oh, okay, then I'm retarded.
So it was. Let's see if I can find his name, but it was. I don't know. It was one of these guys, but they had a bunch of position players come in. I think it was. No one's gonna know his fucking name, but he was still 90 miles an hour. He's a position player, so it's not like.
I mean, the argument is they don't want to get hurt, but whatever. I mean, don't bring him in if you don't want to get him hurt. Another big thing that I did realize on this that I thought was an interesting point is that like you can't get mad at your mom Mercedes as well, or anybody for that matter, because this is a league where, especially for him, you know, Tatis did it. Tatis is Tatis. He's gonna get paid no matter what because he's that type of player. Your mom Mercedes is going to get paid based on what he does this year and what stats he puts up this year. So if he gets an opportunity to hit a fucking home run, he's not gonna no one's gonna look at that and be like, oh, that was off a position player. They're gonna be like, oh, you have an extra home run on the belt. You're gonna get paid X amount more because that's what you did this year. So in his case, he's not gonna just turn off because that he needs to get fucking paid. And I'm sure. I mean, we're talking about a lot of cheap contracts. I guarantee he's not making fucking much because he wasn't supposed to be there this year.
No, yeah, 100%.
So,
The last thing I'll say about this is the thing that makes actually zero sense is when everyone was saying, "Oh, it's a 3-0 count. Just take a pitch." Then 3-1 you can swing. Like
Doesn't change any fucking
3-1's the pitch to hit. You know, like you're gonna get the same pitch. Okay, if you're gonna get the same pitch, then why do you need to wait to 3-1 to pitch? Just to hit. Just fucking hit the ball.
Just fucking hit the ball. Congrats to Rugi paternity leave.
The perfect time
For like
though.
an hour. Like he was back.
He had a kid, right?
Yeah, but he came back like as soon as he was born.
Wait, Odor had a kid?
He went on paternity leave for like 3 hours.
Yeah, it was literally like an hour.
He just missed the game. He missed one game.
Just to circle back quickly to the unwritten rules, I'm only saying it because this just happened, but Jeff Passan just tweeted that an investigative reporter, Eli Grober, has uncovered baseball's unwritten rules, and they are hilarious. So I'm just going to read a couple of them off for you guys right now. Rule number 2, if your team has a big lead near the end of the game, you should just stand motionless in the batter's box and let the pitcher play catch with the catcher. That's baseball. It's what we all tune in for. And this is back from like the 1800s. Rule 3, if you hit a home run, don't you... Yeah, apparently. Unless I'm getting like, dude, but I'm pretty positive it's real.
Someone probably
Rule
just like
number 3.
put it together.
If you hit a home run, don't you dare look at it. Look straight ahead while you jog around the bases and not so fast and not too slow.
Like all the time?
I guess.
That's an every time thing. Don't look at your home run.
Yeah, I guess.
Just can't pimp it.
There are more?
Yeah, rule 6. If a pitcher is throwing a no-hitter, you're not allowed to bunt.
That's a good one.
That's the only one I stand behind.
I like that one. Is there more? Keep going. I like these.
Rule 10, if a player breaks any one of these rules, someone else should throw a hard baseball 90 miles per hour at their head.
I think
that one I read that.
A joke.
Again, the only one I approve of is the bunt.
Like, this may be a joke.
This is totally a joke. Another unwritten rule that I don't hate is it's not even, it's like barely an unwritten rule. It's just the one where it's like a tradition type thing. It's the one where you don't like step on the chalk.
That's a law.
That's a law.
That's an unwritten law.
That's like a superstition.
Yeah, no, that's not an unwritten rule. Because I was talking to my friend about that.
That's a rule. That's not an unwritten rule.
Yeah,
that should be a written rule.
At softball the other day, I was talking about that, and I was teaching my buddies who hadn't played baseball when they were a kid, and I was like, "Oh, don't." We were jogging onto the field, and I was like, "Oh, don't step on the chalk." And he did every single time, and I'd say it to him every time, like, "You did it again." And then my buddy who plays third was like, this is when the Yerman Mercedes thing happened. He's like, "You sound like all those old boomers." He's like, "Oh my God, you care about the unwritten rules?" Like, dude, it's just like the thing.
That should be
I don't give a fuck if you hit a tank off a position player, but I mean, it's just it's a thing that you learned growing up. Like, don't step on the chalk.
I think if you bunt in the 8th inning and a no-hitter, it should be an out.
Yeah.
I've done it in the show. I can't lie.
You're an asshole.
You're the problem.
I am.
You're the
problem.
You're the problem with this society. All right, that'll do it from us. Oh, before we signed off here, we talked about hot or not. I have been hot on Action Network today. Yesterday, I was down by 17. Greg, you've used Action Network before?
Yeah, I have. I used it like for a while, actually, like 3-4 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, we use it in college all the time. We're back using it.
I got
shout out
Green Dot City today.
right now.
Yeah.
Let me check my action.
I got Red Sox winning right now. I picked San Fran, and I picked Yankees.
If you want to follow our action, download the Action Network app. And I'm 161 Luke. Damon is the 161 Damon. Greg, if you want to plug your action, you can. You're more than welcome.
Don't have it readily available.
Okay, 161
And
Murphy,
anyways, you don't wanna take
161.
my pick.
Just look
Bing
up
are the
Greg
other ones.
and try and find him.
There's
Whoever finds
probably
him
only
first.
a couple, but I'm
Well,
projected to
yeah,
be up
I'm on it
again
right
today.
now.
Projected 3-1, and the other day, like I told everybody last time, I found out how. Oh, geez, I saw Red Dot City on yours.
Well, this is my week. I was green today. This week
Want to see my week?
I'm down a lot.
I was down.
I'm 10-13 all time.
I'm up in the last 7 days, 21.29 units.
Only bets I've got in right now are PGA Championship
All right,
bets.
that's good.
So
I was down a lot, Greg, but I won 18 units on the first 5. Actually, it's funny because I put 18 units, or I put like 15 units on it because it was plus 120. So I got 18 back on the first 5. San Francisco Giants versus the Reds because Castillo was pitching. Castillo is the fucking worst pitcher on the planet. So I was like, okay, I'm going to fade Castillo. And he did it. He didn't. Well, he did not it. He helped me because he sucked. And I
You should
actually
just
skipped the
place-
start in fantasy baseball. He's on my bench.
you should just place a parlay every day for the 3 teams that are playing: the Mariners, Indians,
And the Rangers.
and the
Yeah, it
Rangers.
doesn't
and
The
always
teams
work.
that got no hit.
That has to be profitable.
Has to be.
We've tried to figure out the magic formula many times, and we still haven't. We used to get chalkboards every single morning at 9 a.m. Get our picks together.
All right. Well,
Never won.
that'll do it. Follow the Action Network. You'll get our bets in real time. You can track your own. So it's a lot of fun. Catch you guys later.
All the guys at 161st Street, I just have 2 words for you. See ya.